Introduction to Analytics. Before we start our journey into the world of analytics, let's get introduced to the basic concept of analytics. We would have had some subjects in our college or school curriculum wherein we would have seen some of these subjects like statistics. Maybe at a higher graduation level, we would have seen some subjects like econometrics, right? Obviously, analytics does entail a lot of statistics, but yes, it includes some other aspects also, which includes technology, which includes the business aspects. So we need to understand how analytics is different from basic statistics, inferential statistics, and goes beyond that. So let's start our journey into understanding analytics. So we usually have a lot of data with us. The rate at which data is today coming to us and going from us has increased a lot. For example, if you have an app called as a Google Map in your phone and you're traveling from a point A to a point B, and you have booked maybe an taxi like Ola or Uber, which basically might be using either a Google enabled map or something else in the background. Obviously, your location services are activated. Before you download these apps, they obviously ask you a lot of permission so that they can access this data from your mobile. So this data which you are relaying bit by bit to the server, plus the data which is coming from the server onto your app and syncing this data, is in fact an application of analytics. So what analytics intends to do is basically maximizing the value out of the existing data and sustain this growth for us to get the right information at the right time. In essence, so when you have booked an Uber or Ola cab for your wife or your mother, you can see actually where the ride has started, right? If the person is connected to the internet, you can obviously see the route which has been taken. Has the cab halted somewhere? And obviously, if that happens, you certainly call the person over there to check if something is not right. Obviously, what you are doing in this whole process through analytics is you're passing the right information to the right person at the right time so that safety is not compromised. So there are various applications of analytics, and in through this journey of analytics, you would understand the nitty-gritties of all of these. So let's understand it a little better. So it would involve analyzing, examining a large set of data so as to find out the hidden patterns, correlations, causality, basis which you can get insights, right? So for example, if you're looking at data which is coming from a stock broking firm, which obviously shows you some trend lines and all these things, you would be analyzing this data to forecast what would happen next with the stock. You place some investments basis your analysis. You have some cutoffs basis which you do some decisions. Like for example, you might square off a trade basis some expected benchmarks. You might cover your risk basis some expected loss cutoffs, right? So all of this would be part of analytics. Obviously, you wouldn't be doing this manually, but you would be doing this through an algo. That's what we called as algorithmic trading. So when we apply some computer science codes or basically algorithms, which has a hidden layer of data science inside it, so that decisions which were primarily being taken by human beings have been offloaded onto machines which are capable of somewhere reacting like a human being in those kinds of situation, but with an enhanced capacity as compared to a human being with respect to storage, analysis, and insights would come to us as the term called as analytics. Analytics basically helps us to understand all the data that we have gathered. It could be organizational, it could be social data, it could be geographic data, it could be market data, it could be product research data, any kind of data. It could be image data, right? So when you deal with oceanography, you would have a lot of data which is coming through satellites. It's almost impossible for a human being to analyze so much of data. For instance, take into consideration some data which is coming from some sensors which are loaded on maybe close to the airport or close to the sea, wherein you're getting a lot of data related to temperature, the wind speed, and all those things. If you actually see at all this data universally in sync with each other, it could help you to forecast whether there is a cyclone, whether there is a sudden change in the climatic condition which could in fact be dangerous, and this could be some kind of early warning system which can help us, right? Analytics makes it easy for us for decision making, right? So while you're driving your car, right? Uh, Typically, if you go back into 30 years, you had the car in place, and assume if you were driving the car then, and today when you're driving the car, today you have a car wherein maybe even the tire pressure is being monitored on your screen, right? Today you have a car wherein the temperature is displayed, and the microcontroller over here does a decision for you that if the temperature has gone above a certain level, it will flash the warning, and if you ignore that in certain cars, it will force you to take the car on the side, right? So today, if the ignition coil has a problem, right, which incidentally say 30 years back wouldn't have caused your car to stop, but today the analytics inside the engine, or you would say the analytics sitting on the hood of your engine as a small computer, takes a decision that okay, out of the 8 ignition coils, one is misfiring and this could lead to a problem. So it would automatically reduce the thrust of your engine, and you would be forced to take the car to the closest service station. That's how it would avoid a major catastrophe wherein your whole engine could seize. So there are a lot of things which goes into analytics, and this in a nutshell is just a primer for us to understand what is analytics. So going forward, let me just give you a very simple example. Now this example might look very rudimentary, not very jazzed up, but the reason for this is that this is understandable by anybody who has not looked at data from an analytical perspective, right? So what you can see in the first frame to the extreme left is a set of data which has been codified with some colors, right? Now we can talk about this data in 2 dimension, 3 dimension, or any subspace as possible, but look at this data as maybe the height of an individual, or maybe the weight of an individual, or salary of a person. You will see that the color denotes the similarity between individuals, right? But it is spread. So assume there is, if I overlay this with a map, right, of a small region, you could see that how the distribution of the salary is there in a certain location, right? But obviously when I want to do some marketing, some analysis, right, I have to pass this data through an engine which basically segregates this data, so I get some segments in that data on which I can apply some strategy. If this was age as a data, I would then pass it to the second frame, which is called as analytics. Now obviously I'm talking of a black box right now. As we go deeper into this course, you will understand what exactly and how exactly we are going to do this, right? This is at a very high level, I would say. You can say that we are at a 10,000 feet view. As we go deeper into the course, we'll go very close to this, right? So now in the second frame, you can see that the data has been segregated into different segments. When it comes to decision making, your funnel of analytics will take it to that level wherein you can clearly see 4 broad segments. So you can see some yellow segments, red segments, right? Purple, and then the dark one, I guess it's dark blue, right? So obviously what we have done is we have segmented the data. This clearly is a case of segmentation, which in typical business we say as market segmentation, right? This is just a small instance, and something which is very much understandable to anybody who is new into analytics. As we go ahead, we'll talk about difficult problems and how do we actually do that. So what is data analytics? Now there is a lot of term we call data science, we call analytics, we say machine learning, right? We call artificial intelligence. Now all of these terminologies should be known to you as a person who is into analytics. So let's talk a little bit about data analytics, right? So analytics is always done on data. So that's in essence data analytics. So analytics is the use of data, information, statistical analysis, quantitative methods, and computer based models so that managers, decision makers can get improved insight about their business operation and make fact based decisions. That is what is data analysis or analytics in a nutshell.